Blessings, everyone. This is part 2 from yesterday's video. So we were talking about the fact that I got a vision when I was in my spiritualist church that we are all pinpoints of light that make up a cosmic light web and a sacred geometry when our lights are connected. They're always connected, what I'm hearing, but if we make an effort to connect them with other human beings, the power is amplified. So whether that be in a spirit circle or meditation circle or a yoga class or anything that you're doing where you're connecting in a higher vibration. If you want to go back and listen to what my vision was about us being connected, like the constellations in the sky and like what that means for humanity, that would be part 1. So at the end of that video, I pulled this card, Water Spirit. And again, it says Water Spirit, emotions, memory, life force, energy. So when I first tune into this card, you see this face of a woman, looks like a woman, and she's beneath the surface of the sparkling water. And when I tuned into that, I heard, have you ever to think about a time when you have stood over a river or a creek or a pond or whatever on a beautiful sunshiny day, and the water is, the sun is hitting the water in such a way that it's just, all of those little sparkles, and it's just so mesmerizing. I don't know about you, but I've stood and just kind of gotten lost in those moments because they just feel so pure, and they make me feel so connected to spirit. Of all of my nature things that I love, I would say that's one of my favorite ones, is watching the sunshine on the water and how it makes those little sparkles. But here, this woman, this energy, she appears to be below the surface. And when I looked at that, I heard there's so much more below the surface. And then they said to me to take these energies of water, emotions, memory, and life force, and talk about them from how we tend to look at that from our physical beingness, and how we could look at it from our divine self. And so how we can kind of make that jump. Again, that doesn't mean that there's anything bad with being human or being physical. We are in physical form for a reason. But that often there are things below the surface. And I think that's why we're mesmerized when we look into the water like that, or we even watch the movement of the water, the light on the water, the wind on the water. We're mesmerized by it because it almost feels like if we fell into that water, that we would enter into this, like, you know what I mean, mystical, kind of whimsical world that just feels so inviting versus what we live in our surface world on Earth. So water, as we know, as an element, is a living energy, and we could do a whole talk on that. I've done a whole spirit circle on that, but of course we need water to live, so it's life-giving. It's cleansing, it's revitalizing, it's refreshing, it's renewing. But just like any other form on Earth, water has duality. So if you think about like a tsunami, or you think about a hurricane, which all include water, or like a huge, rapturous waterfall, there's, or like, a tidal wave pool, or, there's so many things where water can actually, the very depths of the ocean can be a little intimidating, or a little frightening, or overwhelming, or let's just say a more potent energy. And then we have other things like a light rain, which is very calming and refreshing, or a slowly trickling creek. So water, I guess what they're trying to say to me right now, it has a lot to teach us as an element. And we need to, in general, start to look at things at more of a deeper level. Okay, again, going back to this, she is kind of smiling up at us from below the surface, meaning there's so much more below the surface than how we look at things. One of those things is using the elements water, air, fire, and earth, and understanding that they are teachers and healers in their own way. And how can we journal about, meditate with, on concepts of all of those 4 elements and what they are here to show us, teach us, heal us, and evolve us as humans. So utilizing gurus, and I don't like to say that word, that are of the natural world, instead of looking, okay, so again, this is what I'm hearing now. We need to go below the surface we tend to be on the surface. I need that new book. I need that new seminar. I need to go on that retreat. I got to follow that big named person who everybody follows, that has sold all these books or whatnot, has their own YouTube channel with millions and millions of followers. That is not always the answer. And as things are being disclosed with the e-files now, we're finding out that there's a lot of people that have been talking to us about our wellness and our health and our spirituality that are not good people, that are saying one thing and doing another. And doesn't that fit into this concept of things are not always what they appear on the surface? Go deeper, go beneath the surface. Thank you, Spirit. So that's really about being more discerning, using your own intuition, using your own gut feeling, using your own tangible research to find out if something or someone is a situation or person that are you aligned with? Do you really know that person? And do you want to be connected to that energy? So let's take the first one on here, emotions. And emotions, again, are something that we tend to think we either need to hide, or sometimes we don't know how to hide them. We go to the extremes because we live on a planet of polarity and duality. And emotions can be very terrifying for a lot of us. And so we either shut them down or we just let them pour out on everybody, including ourselves, and perhaps ruin a moment or ruin a day or ruin a relationship. And so when you go beneath the surface of your emotions, you start to understand that emotions are energy. They are energy in motion. They're not something that we have to give into. They're not something that we have to hide. They are what they are, and we need to surrender to whatever it is that we're feeling, and try to understand how, again, it is coming as a teacher. It is coming as a higher healer, a higher teacher, just like the elements come as a higher teacher and a higher healer. I'm going to move on because that could be another really long video, but just understanding that your emotions are not something you're a slave to in one direction or the other. You don't have to ignore them, and you don't have to live within them. You can just look at them and say, what is this emotion trying to teach me today? How can I stay within the energy of what I can what I can learn from it, and how it can evolve me? And then I can say, okay, thank you for showing up, emotion, just like you would a friend. You wouldn't spend every day, every minute of your life with one friend. You would say, I thank you for showing up. Thank you for trying to show me what I've now figured out you're trying to show me. And writing in a journal is a good way to get all of that stuff to come to the surface too. And then you let it go and you move on, and you focus on what frequency you want to be in, what actions you want to be in, what reactions you want to be in, what perceptions you want to be in, what people you want to be connected to. The second energy is memory. So again, if we're going back to this concept of going deeper, looking below the surface, memories are something that either we say, oh, that memory is a good memory, or that memory is a bad memory, and we immediately put it into a category. What if we sat with our memories, especially the ones that keep surfacing for us? They're coming to the surface, but we need to go deeper with it, okay? What is that memory? Why are you still holding on to it? There's something there you haven't healed. There's something there you haven't transformed. The memory keeps surfacing so that you will look at it, so you will work with it. Again, it's always about finding a place of balance, finding a place of true power, your true power coming out from any situation, any relationship, and a sense of that you have expanded, and you have not shrunk, you've expanded, and you're being truthful. It's coming to the surface, and you're meeting it head on, and you're accepting that sometimes there's memories of things that have happened. You don't have to say that was an okay memory, but you also do not need to let that memory, you don't need to become a slave to it, just like your emotions. And then the last thing says life force. And I already know what this is because it came to me too really quickly when I looked at the card. That we tend to, again, look at things on the surface as being what is adding to our life force energy. So we tend to think, well, when I find that perfect relationship, when I meet my soulmate, I need to move my body. I've been sitting like this too long. When this, when that, when I find the perfect job, when I get my book published, when I get a local following for my band, it's always about that our life force energy is on a physical level. We are like, it's dependent on this thing happening, this tangible person, relationship, connection, situation. And again, they're telling us to go deeper, look beneath the surface. Your life force energy is always within you. It's waiting for you to just remember, to tap into it. Excuse me. So it's not something that you have to build or create. It is your birthright. Your life force energy, your chi energy flows through you all the time. Now, you may be doing things outside of yourself or expecting things outside of yourself to make that life force energy stronger and more potent. But the truth is, it's already there. Your focus on thinking you have to have something a certain way may actually be dampening and kind of drowning the life force energy that you already carry within. So the way that you do that is that you make time every single day to focus on your inner world. And I just did I have a podcast called, it's on Spotify, Running on Reiki Light. And the last podcast episode I did is about 15 or 20 minutes. And it was me channeling and listening to Source one morning about what they said we should try to do every day, which is to sit with Source. So whatever Source means to you. I use the word spirit sometimes too. God, Goddess, Mother, Father, God. Whatever form of Source that is for you, you may want to work with the angels or the ascended masters, and most especially your higher self, because your higher self, like I said in the previous video, is a pinpoint of light that is necessary and is a part of the greater whole. So you cannot leave out your higher self, because your higher self is a pinpoint of light, of the Mother, Father, God light. So taking time every day, you can tune into that episode I just talked about if you want to. You can take time every day to pull your energy back in, to actually visualize yourself and feel yourself doing that. First, bring it right back into your auric field, which surrounds you like by a couple of feet. Because when you've given yourself away in so many ways, it's all the way out there and you've given it to people and now they're holding it or they're storing it over here or they're ignoring it or whatever they're doing with it. It's your energy. It's your life force energy. So you need to make time every single day to sit with Source and to draw it back in, bring your power back into your center, your heart center, and expand it up and down your chakra system, through your whole body, into your personality, which then moves out into the world. So it's not complicated. There's lots of ways to do it. You might like to do a guided meditation. You might like to just sit in silence. You might like to play soft music. You might need to have an hour of art time just to yourself to do whatever your art is. There's lots of different ways to focus on your life force energy and to bring it back to you. Sorry, I'm just trying to listen if there's any other messages here. That is the true power, that we need to stop looking at things on a surface level and saying, oh, that's twinkly and that's pretty, and not going deeper. You know what I mean? One example of this would be, going back to my initial thing, was like I said that I like to stand by a body of water and focus on how the light dances on the water. That's beautiful. Excuse me. Mother Nature is beautiful. But what if you did, just in your third eye, in your imagination, allow yourself with full trust in spirit and Source to kind of fall into that water? I'm not saying to actually do it. What I'm saying is to use your imagination. And then maybe you come home and you write a song about it or a poem about it or a journal entry about it or a short story about it. What happens if you let yourself fall into that beauty that is drawing you, that is attracting you? Don't stay on the surface of those moments. the way you grow your life force energy is by allowing yourself to understand that you are a metaphysical being and that there are lots of different forms of reality and that you can play in them, you can have fun in them, and you can learn a lot of things about, I'm hearing, the secrets, the power of the universe by doing things like that. Things you wouldn't normally think to do, things you wouldn't allow yourself to do. So, yeah, I think that's a good activity. I'm going to try that at my spirit circle that I lead one time, where we all kind of talk about a nature element that draws us, and then we can allow ourselves to kind of go there, and then maybe we'll do like a little exercise or write and see like what comes up for us. So, all right, thank you, Spirit. Thank you for listening, and I send you lots of love and light.